An Essay on Crimes and Punishments by Beccaria. Chapter 7 of Estimating the Degree of Crimes. The foregoing reflections authorize me to assert that crimes are only to be measured by the injury done to society. They err. Therefore, who imagine that a crime is greater or less according to the intention of the person by whom it is committed? For this will depend on the actual impression of objects on the senses and on the previous disposition of the mind, both which will vary in different persons and even in the same person at different times, according to the succession of ideas, passions, and circumstances. Upon that system, it would be necessary to form not only a particular code for every individual, but a new penal law for every crime. Men, often with the best intention, do the greatest injury to society, and with the worst, do it the most essential services. Others have estimated crimes rather by the dignity of the person offended than by their consequences to society. If this were the true standard, the smallest irreverence to the divine being ought to be punished with infinitely more severity than the assassination of a monarch. In short, others have imagined that the greatness of the sin should aggravate the crime. But the fallacy of this opinion will appear on the slightest consideration of the relations between man, and between God and man. The relations between man and man are relations of equality. Necessity alone hath produced, from the opposition of private passions and interests, the idea of public utility, which is the foundation of human justice. The other are relations of dependence between an imperfect creature and his creator, the most perfect of beings, who has reserved to himself the sole right of being both lawgiver and judge. For he alone can, without injustice, be, at the same time, both one and the other. If he hath decreed eternal punishments for those who disobey his will, shall an insect dare to put himself in the place of divine justice, to pretend to punish for the Almighty, who is himself all sufficient, who cannot receive impressions of pleasure or pain, and who alone of all other beings acts without being acted upon? The degree of sin depends on the malignity of the heart, which is impenetrable to finite being. How then can the degree of sin serve as a standard to determine the degree of crimes? If that were admitted, men may punish when God pardons, and pardon when God condemns, and thus act in opposition of the Supreme Being. An Essay on Crimes and Punishments by Beccaria.